Good morning, good morning. It's Celeste of Astrology by Celeste. Yes, it is. I'm so excited to be having a cosmic conversation with Malika. Hi, welcome, Rebecca. Welcome. And Whit, welcome. Hey, Jess, Squirrel of Mystery. So nice to see you. Here she is. 3 times to get it to work. Let's see if it worked the first time. Okay, let me hit accept again. It worked.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay.
You're doing okay. Hanging in there.
Well, I'm being eclipsed both ways, so.
Oh, you are. You'll have to tell me about it.
Yeah, we can talk about my experience because I think it may help some other people as well.
Yes. I mean, we're right in the middle of these eclipses right now, right? We're like in an eclipse sandwich, if you will.
Yes, we are. So why don't you introduce yourself before we get going?
Sure. What to say? Okay. My name is Malika, and I met Celeste, a couple years ago now, right? Moving through astrology school is where I met you. And I have been a practicing astrologer since 2017. And what I love more than anything is relationship astrology, putting two charts together and seeing how two people relate to each other, how they get along or how they don't get along. That comes into play too, right? And yeah. That's what I spend my days doing. Astrology, looking at charts, giving readings, teaching astrology classes, so on and so forth. I'm always in the stars.
Yes, and I took your class, your Synastry class about relationships.
That's right.
And it is amazing. It is so good. It's so thorough.
Thank you.
Yeah. Tell people what your website is.
It's my first and last name. It's Malika Semper, astrology.com.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. You can find all my readings there, all the classes I teach, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. And you can push the carrot if you're new to Malika or me and follow both of us because we both are pretty active here on Instagram.
We are.
Yes, we are.
It's a full-time job.
And it's wild. Today the East Coast had an earthquake. Did you see that?
I heard. Yes. How was that for you?
It was. Well, I live in California.
Oh, you're in California.
But my family.
Okay.
My family's in New Jersey, and
did you hear from them?
Yes, people are freaked out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Jupiter-Uranus conjunction is tightening, and it's. I mean, earthquakes are like Jupiter-Uranus in Taurus. It's like.
Yep. Yeah.
Textbook.
Exactly. Yeah. I would have probably been amongst the freaking out people.
Yeah.
I probably would have had to dig really deep for my calmness in that one. But yeah, that was big news this morning.
Yeah, people are saying in the chat that they felt it.
I couldn't see the chat. Now I can. Okay.
Yeah, my sister said it sounded like a bomb going off in the basement of the house.
Wow.
So it was a big one.
Yeah.
Have you ever been in an earthquake?
When I was like, I want to say 11 or so, there was an earthquake, very, very slight one. I, however, was laying in my room on my bed watching TV. I was like 11, and I thought my dad was running through the house. He was not. It was an earthquake. So I didn't even like bat an eye, but then he came in and he goes, "Did you feel that?" And I said, "Yeah, I thought it was you running through the house." He goes, "No." So that was my only experience.
They said it seemed to drag on. And the funny thing is, okay, so I was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, on the East Coast, and my Uranus is at 5 degrees of Libra, and that's where we had this eclipse.
That's right.
So moving me to the West Coast, it's not. So I was kind of worried: is there going to be an earthquake in California?
Yeah.
And my moon is being eclipsed on Monday. So I'm getting it both ways.
You have an
But
Aries moon?
yes.
Aries moon. Okay. What degree?
I'm 17, so it's 2 degrees
Ooh,
off.
2 degrees off. So the eclipse, you guys, coming in is 19 degrees of Aries. Yeah, and Celeste has a 17-degree Aries moon, right? So that big energy is going to be felt quite internally for you. The emotional body is really going to feel that. Have you been feeling the buildup of it?
Yes. So my IC is at 2 Libra.
Okay.
So, and the Jupiter Uranus conjunction is on my Mercury.
Holy moly.
So I just had this breakthrough with a friend of mine, Tiffany Herlick, who's a psychic this morning and an astrologer. So I've been having a psychic opening since the full moon across my nose. That was in Virgo. So that was about a month or, a while ago. But it is unearthing. So I'm getting this psychic opening, and it's unearthing this childhood trauma that's coming to the surface in different ways. Yeah. And so I just recognized it today, and it's like, oh, wow.
That's big stuff. Yeah. I mean, the eclipses, when they come in, it's like it's quick. It's sudden. Usually the event that happens isn't something that we've planned for. It comes in and it doesn't really care for an invite or not, right? It just happens. And oftentimes it is a sped up growth that happens for us, right? That we really need, whether we recognize it in the moment or not, right? It could feel intense for a lot of people because that sped up, unexpected life shift, that opening that comes, it's big energy, right?
Yeah. And someone asked about how about my psychic opening. So, my predictions are getting more and more specific, and I'm starting to just write, I'll be journaling, and then things are coming out. And then they show up in the collective. So it's been really wild watching this happening.
For some reason, I cannot see the chat, so you just tell me if there.
Okay. Yeah, I can see it.
You'll be in charge of the chat.
Yes, Kate. Thank you. I'm going to be sweet with myself because it is.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think that's key for, eclipse energy, especially Aries, Librans, Capricorns, Cancers. If there's any planets around that 19 degree, I usually give or take about 5 degrees. What do you do? About 5?
Yeah, I think 5 degrees is good. It's most exact if it's 1 or 2 on either side, but 5. You can, and I feel like as soon as the nodes go into a sign, they change signs. The eclipses bounce back and forth in our chart between 2 signs, 2 houses, 2 to 4 houses over 18 months. And so things be coming to life. If you don't have anything right near there, there might not be a sudden event, but there's a call for you to release some of that south node stuff. It's a point of drain, and to bring in gains through the north node. The north node is an amplifier.
Right. Exactly. So what 2 houses are being activated for you with this eclipse?
My 10th and my 4th.
Aww. Angular houses, no big deal. Those are major, those are major houses.
And
I have, go ahead.
My ascendant's at 20 Cancer. So my ascendant and descendant.
Good Lord, woman. You're like, bring it all. All at once.
It is. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that can feel really intense. My houses are 2nd and 8th, so they've been bouncing back and forth between the 2nd and 8th house. So yeah, like you said, if you don't necessarily have any planets around in those signs, everybody has Aries in their chart, right? So you would just look what house Aries lands in your own chart. 19 degrees of Aries to be specific, and then that is the area of life that is being woken up by the eclipse, or affected, right, or amplified, however each one is feeling it.
And it's conjunct Chiron, so I really feel like Chiron, the wounded healer, that I feel it's like exact, like it's 19 degrees and 24 minutes. Chiron, the sun and the moon are all at that same degree. So there's like, and it's almost like a Pluto transit, but it's more gentle. I feel like with Chiron.
Yeah, there's a sweetness about Chiron, right? Pluto is more intense and he just wants to get you to go into the shadow no matter what and do the work, the healing. With Chiron, he's a sweet guy. You know, I teach Chiron, the asteroid, and like his mythology story, where he came from. He's so compassionate and gentle and caring, and he's the healer and the medicine holder, right? And so the trigger, the wound shows up, and then the gentle healing, deep healing, profound, important healing. But there is a sweetness and a compassion that he brings with him as well, I always think, with Chiron.
And why don't you tell people the myth in case they don't know?
Oh, the myth. Okay, let me pull it out of my head here. So Chiron is a centaur, right? Half horse, half human. He was born to a water nymph. I can't remember her name. And she was appalled by the sight of him when he was born because he was half horse, half human. So she disguises herself into a linden tree so that he can't find her. She doesn't want to mother him. She doesn't want to parent him. And so he gets orphaned. And one of the other gods steps in, Apollo, I believe, and takes him and raises him and teaches him the skills of hunting and natural medicine and plant medicine and herbs and, you know, all those things and the healing of food that food can hold. And so he learns all this growing up, Chiron does. And all the other centaurs, they're savage and they're rude and they have no manners. And he is so different. He's peaceful, he's kind, he's gentle. And so he becomes kind of like the king of the centaurs, and all the others look up to him because he's so wise and beautiful. And one day he's friends with Uranus. And Uranus is a little bit of a scoundrel, and Uranus is bored, so he shoots an arrow into the sky, and he creates mischief and chaos with all the other centaurs, right? And they run to Chiron for him to come create peace there. And so Chiron shows up and he tries to be the mediator and create peace and tell Uranus to just calm down and be kind. And Uranus isn't done playing, and so he shoots that arrow into the sky. It had been dipped in the Hydra's blood, which is this sea monster with like 8 heads, right? Dipped in the poisonous blood of the Hydra, and it hits Chiron in the heel, the Achilles heel, right? And he's wounded and he's in pain, and he's immortal, so he doesn't die from the pain. But then there's a deal made and his immortality is traded in, and he finally gets to peacefully die. And they put him amongst the heavens in a constellation, and he is honored and, you know, really looked up to ever since then.
Wow.
That is the myth of Chiron in a nutshell.
That is so deep. And
it's really sweet. Yeah. And so now in our birth charts, whatever sign Chiron is in, that is where we have the wound, but also where we have the deepest potential for healing this lifetime, right? We have the medicine for that wound in order to grow. I love working with Chiron. Do you work with Chiron ever?
I do. And I have Chiron conjunct my midheaven on my series, The Astrology of Nurturing.
Yes.
So there's a big story about that in my own life. Like you just described some key things in my own life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So Chiron's loud in your chart. He's in the most public placement, right? High noon conjunct the most public point of your chart. And so, yeah, the healing aspect, the going deep and taking care of those wounds is a big part of who you are and what you came in to do.
Yeah, and I help clients through my own experiences of it is so this is just profound. And most people born between, I don't know the years, it's like 1940 and something, have Chiron and Uranus opposite each other.
Yeah, that's
So, yeah, it may be tighter or less tight depending on what year you're born, but there's something called the Chiron generation.
Yeah, that's a big one. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think maybe it has to do with like World War II and the Vietnam and
that
like for the United States, like those time. It wasn't a plutonic time period, but there was this fear and upheaval and all of this kind of stuff based on world events, and it's being triggered again now with the war in Ukraine, Haiti's falling apart, the war in Israel. There's stuff, I mean, everywhere it feels like the world is in such chaos, and in the country, the United States, fighting with each other. It's like
a lot of upheaval, chaos. That's that Uranian energy too, right? The upheaval, the chaos, the crumbling everything apart so that we could rebuild and do something new and come at it from a new perspective. Very Uranian, very Chiron Uranian. It's like it's all being woken up. It's all being activated. Right?
Yeah. And the earthquakes, and like there was an earthquake in Taiwan, an earthquake on the East Coast, the fires. Texas had these awful fires. Like we're being awakened through the earth, the wounded earth, something going on as well. I feel like right now.
Yeah. And so with Chiron being a big part of this eclipse, for a lot of people, there's a lot of tenderness surfacing. You know, there's a lot of vulnerability, tenderness, feeling really tender in the outside world or around other people or with our own energies, you know. And so, I mean, the highest road when Chiron is hand in hand with an eclipse is like really stopping the busy, frenetic outside world, and dropping in and doing that healing that's being asked, you know, and not always easy, and it could be scary, and some people avoid it at all costs, but here it is. Right?
Yeah, but there are times when, and I bet, you know, the more prominent your Chiron is in your chart, the more you're probably experiencing this. And by prominent, I mean, is it at an angle or in the first, fourth, seventh, or 10th house, or is it conjunct or square or something, or opposite? Any personal planets, especially, people probably will be feeling this energy even stronger.
Yeah,
because
exactly. If it's on your sun, if you have, if you were born with Chiron on your sun, or Chiron on your moon, or Chiron on your rising sign, like one of the big three, that is what I would consider a strong Chiron this lifetime. You know, you came in to do a lot of that healing work. I'm obsessed with Chiron.
Okay, good. Yeah, I love Chiron. And at about age 49 to 51, people have their Chiron return, where this stuff comes back around. And sometimes you have, like, especially Chiron spends a long time in Aries, so I had 5 hits of that, and now
it's incredible.
And being eclipsed, it's like, okay, we've let you be gently healing all this time, but now, boom, you got to deal with this stuff that's been pushed down since you were a child.
Exactly. That's exactly it. I feel like Chiron has been in Aries for 1,000,000 years. It feels so long. And so all of us that were born with Chiron in Aries, we've been experiencing that Chiron return for a long time. Like you said, Celeste, you had 5 hits. That's a lot. You know, it's really a pause and taking time to do that healing work, right? Yeah.
Yes, yeah. And Lily says there are other places that earthquakes are coming: Quebec, Japan, Philippines. We'll see. One of my followers sent me something, but this guy has figured out how to track earthquakes.
Ooh.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens, and maybe that would bring the world together, knowing that, you know, there's nothing we can do, but
hold on.
Hold on.
Nothing we can do, but hold on.
See our humanity within each other, because in the same situations. Yeah. Like, I hope this eclipse is healing for some people who are going to it, and they're going to be people from different belief systems, some of whom are stranded places because there may be big storms or, it's just going to be a mess in a lot of ways. That maybe this will be some kind of healing event for the United States, where people talk to people from different points of view and start seeing each other as human beings rather than the enemy or the Satanist or the deplorable or whatever names like the people on the extremes call each other.
Through eyes of compassion, really taking on a compassionate perspective, right? We are all of the human race. We are all really one. I mean, really, you know. But yeah, big things coming in. The eclipse on Monday. Is it on Monday?
Yeah.
Officially. And the Uranus-Jupiter conjunction, April 20th. All while Mercury's retrograde. Like, all we could do is laugh. All we could do is laugh about it, or else we'll just cry.
And Mars, which is ruling the eclipse, is in the sign of Pisces within a degree of Saturn. So there's this Mars-Saturn conjunction in Pisces that is being activated. That's tough. Mars and Saturn are the malefics. They take away from life. There can be problems. Mars is the gas, Saturn's the brake. You're trying to get to whatever town, and there's 10,000 people in front of you on the road, and people start running out of gas. I mean, there's so many things that could go on.
The Mars conjunct Saturn to me feels like one step forward, two steps back. It's like trying to get forward, and Saturn sort of pulls you back a little bit, you know. And in Pisces, so neither of them are very clear in Pisces. They're kind of like, what are we doing here? You know, both those particular planets. So it's interesting energy. I'm curious how everyone's doing out there. I can't see the chat, so.
Okay, I'll tell you. What does an angle mean is Latinx says. The angles are the ascendant, the descendant, the midheaven, and the IC. They are points, that's across a matter. They're points, they're not actual physical objects. You want to say anything else about the angles?
Yeah, they're just cosmic points in the sky. If you're looking at your birth chart, that round thing with all the lines and planets in the middle, the four angles are basically, if we're looking at a clock, 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock. They're specific points. And the 9 o'clock is the ascendant, it's the self, it's the soul. Noon is the midheaven, it's our public image, our status, our title, the work we do. 3 o'clock is the descendant, it's our relationships, it's others in our life. And 6 o'clock, the very bottom, is called the IC, which is our private life, our personal life, our emotional life, our family.
Yeah. And this will be posted later. Somebody's asking, and I will make you a collaborator. So if you want to post it on your wall as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Are you doing anything for the eclipse, Celeste? Do you have any plans?
You know, I'm not planning to look at it. I'm planning to maybe do something internal. I think I need to do some kind of healing thing. Maybe go out in nature and and do something. Maybe a primal scream.
There you go.
Maybe I'll go out in the woods and do some kind of primal scream to open my throat chakra. I've never done this before. But I feel like there's a call for me to do something different. What are you doing?
Absolutely nothing. I am hiding. No, I won't be hiding, but I'll probably, I go for a hike most every day with my dog. So getting out in nature really helps me to ground that energy. And I plan on going slow that day and doing my grounding practices and just being really, I think, mindful and introspective that day. I'm certainly not traveling anywhere, not going, where it's loud and bustling. I'm more of an introvert anyway, so I tend, when the energy's big, I tend to go more inward, just naturally myself. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's smart. So Lunar Reflection Apothecary is saying her son's school sent out a notice that they can keep the kids home on Monday. And
Really?
they'll
Oh,
be
that's
excused.
Christina. Yeah,
I've
that's
seen that all over the
yeah.
country. They're saying you can keep schools are closing because
Really?
there are going to be so many people converging
Yeah.
on different areas. And for Mercury retrograde, this is a great story. I think was it Sarah? Sarah Lahar may have told me this, but they're part of the path of totality in an area in Ohio was off, and like it's been changed, so it's moving in a mile on either side.
Okay.
And so people are going to have to change their plans if they want to make sure to see the eclipse. So in Ohio, people are going to be trying to move in closer than they originally planned. So that's a Mercury
You guys, it's
retrograde.
going to be a hot mess out there.
It's going to be a hot mess.
It's going to be a hot mess. Bring snacks in your car if you're traveling, and water, because you might get stuck for a little while somewhere, or derouted. Is that the word I'm looking for? Just like sudden plan upheavals, right? That's part of the Mercury
That's Mercury
retrograde.
retrograde.
Yeah.
Mars Saturn, 2 steps forward and then you're stopped. 2 steps forward and then you're stopped.
Yeah.
So plenty of water, more than you think you need. Plenty of food, snacks, maybe a Pampers, adult Pampers.
Depending on how big our bladders are. For those of us with small bladders.
A full tank of gas. If
Yeah.
your gas, don't let your gas get less than half a tank. Stop and get more, because they're predicting that some gas stations
I heard that too.
may not, the pumps may go down because of all the interference with all of these people.
Yeah.
And make sure your glasses are from the full standards, ISO, whatever. You did not get them off of TikTok. You go to like Home Depot or something, because what could happen with this conjunct Aries, Aries rules the head and the eyes. People thinking they're wearing good glasses or looking up, and their eyes get damaged.
That's right. That's a good point. Aries rules the head and the eyes, right? So we have to take extra precautions with that and be extra mindful. I think the big story here is to be patient, travel with compassion and kindness, right? And just be really diligent and aware if you're traveling during this time too. Yeah, especially.
And Louisa says, not doing great, regretting all of my life decisions.
Oh, that could come up with eclipses. You know, we're really looking at the things that are surfacing right now. And for a lot of us, it's perhaps what we've stuffed. It's perhaps the ouchy parts of us, right? All of that stuff is coming up right now to be looked at. And because Chiron's in the mix, Louisa, was that her name? Whatever is surfacing right now, because Chiron's in the mix, it's asking to be healed. It's being shown, because that is your eclipse work, right? Chiron brings it up out of the shadow to say, hey, this is it right now. It doesn't feel so great in the moment, in the pain of it, but afterwards, so you can look back and say, thank God I looked at that and just gave it some love and attention, right? Yeah.
And with like what I was saying, most people have Chiron opposite Uranus, and Chiron's being aspected at the eclipse. So you go to look at natally, and so Uranus, it's what it's really here for, is to awaken us to things. Uranus is the great awakener. So Louisa's being awakened to things and is regretting life choices, but there needs to be some healing. You can think about like what went on in your childhood. Well, look at the houses where you have Uranus and Chiron. That you may find some keys there, but I really feel I get a strong message that Louisa, it's meant for forgiveness for yourself. I think you're probably being too hard on yourself about, you did the best you could with what you had, and you know none of us are perfect, and I want you to show yourself some big love.
Yeah, that gentleness, kindness to the self too, right, is important, so important. Do you have your cards with you,
Yes,
Celeste?
I do.
You should pull us an eclipse card.
Okay, let me see. Which deck should I pull?
If you want to.
I do want to. Okay. I'm going to use Colette Baron Reed's Oracle of the Seven
Love
Energies.
her.
Think about what energy we should be thinking about with this eclipse. Okay, I'll
Perfect.
shuffle.
Okay.
You can keep talking and I'll shuffle for a few minutes. Well, a few seconds, but yeah.
Yeah. I love Colette. I love her cards so much.
Oh my God.
So clear.
She's so amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
So clear.
Yeah.
Okay. What is our eclipse work collectively, right? What is
collectively? What can we do collectively? Okay.
What do we got?
Okay. Healing the heart.
Oh, did we not just talk about that?
Let me read the book.
Go for it. It's such a Chiron conversation. Yes.
The key concepts: healing, making amends, the willingness to release past pain, being responsible and accountable, taking time to get healthy, renewal and rebirth after suffering. When you are wounded emotionally, you need time to regroup and find your center. You may have recently endured a breakup or betrayal, lost someone close to you, or lost an affiliation that you gave too much power to. Perhaps you're watching someone go through a difficult time and feel bad that you can't help them. Maybe you're still not over a past disagreement. No matter the cause of this heartache, deep healing is called for. This happens on its own timetable and can never be rushed. The path to healing the heart centers on reciprocity, the flow of giving and receiving. Sometimes wounding occurs because we become too dependent on another, and this is accompanied by the desire to manipulate or control an outcome. Both wounding and healing usually begin within, and from the outer conditions of our lives, we often believe we can be wounded only by others, but we do more damage to ourselves in self-sabotaging ways than we think and behave. In the self-sabotaging ways we think and behave. It is important to take steps to heal yourself and become willing to release the pain of the past, which can be tempting to revisit. It's time to take responsibility for your part in this healing journey. Look for ways you can help yourself and others, and are you willing to make amends if needed, or conversely, accept someone where they are without trying to influence their growth process? Healing the heart in all aspects is your priority now. Nothing else matters. Only beauty and goodness will come as a result.
Amen.
This is so deep.
Yes.
And what I relate to every
Me
sentence.
Too. And it's the Chiron conversation. It's the Chiron conversation within the eclipse. Healing, healing, healing. Ouch, this hurts. Let me look at it to start the healing process, right? When was our first eclipse? Do you remember the date? March
25th. At 5 Libra.
At 5 Libra. Okay, you're so good. So really looking at what started to surface around that time, right? It's almost like chapters. It's an eclipse chapter. The first chapter having come in around March 25th. Now the second chapter coming in on Monday. And that's your eclipse story, really what's surfacing and what's asking to be held and seen and looked at. And alchemized and healed and transformed. All those things.
Yes. Yeah. Jai says it's a perfect time for a sound bath. I love that. And Simasadie says Malika will be napping. LOL.
Oh my God.
I think that's
who is that? They know me well.
People like the primal scream idea.
Good job. You'll be primal screaming. I'll be napping. There we go. Yeah. I feel these energies so strongly, you guys. I have to nap in order to generate myself. I have so many planets I have 5 planets in the 4th house. And
And
I
they're
have
all sad,
Neptune.
right?
They're all Sag. And I have Neptune on my sun, which is like the planet that rules sleep in the dream world. And so that is like what part of my self-care is to take a little nap in the middle of the day so I can keep going. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish
Oh,
I
Mermaiden says the road rage. Yeah, there'll be people
Oh, there you
with
go.
Mercury retrograde in Aries. There's going to be stories about
Yeah.
people getting
Major
into
road rage.
fights.
For
Yeah.
sure. That's why it's so important to like come back to kindness and remember we're all human, right? That
Yeah.
road rage while you guys are traveling to the eclipse during Mercury retrograde, that can be something else.
Yeah. Louisa says thank you. Yeah. You're very welcome, Louisa.
I
Yeah.
wish I could see the chat.
I know. I don't know.
Darn it.
That's so. I've had that happen
Yeah, it's
sometimes. Mercury
fine.
retrograde. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah.
it is fine. I
Ah.
trust you to read all the juicy stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Mermaiden has the eclipses on her North Node and a sun in Libra. Yeah.
Okay.
The retrograde is bringing up a wild amount of past relationships stuff on all fronts.
Yeah. That'll do that, right? Mercury retrograde, what wasn't said in relationships in the past. It's a revisiting, revising, reassessing of the past, right? And what needs closure, what needs a period at the end of the sentence, what needs some cleaning up. So we're revisiting a little bit of the past, and oftentimes that comes with past people, past partnerships, past relationships that just need a little bit more attention to clean it up so that we can move forward. Very normal staple of Mercury retrograde.
Yeah.
Sometimes I hear that story.
Exactly. Yeah. Renewal and rebirth after suffering. So Chiron and Aries. Yes. Mermaiden. Yeah. I think that's from the card. Yeah.
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 Yeah, that card could not have been more chironic. And the picture is so beautiful
Yes,
too.
it is.
The picture. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very
Yeah.
appropriate card.
And you know what? Before I pulled the card, I was doing this for Louisa.
Yeah. And you keep having your hand on your heart too through this whole conversation.
Oh, do I?
I've noticed too. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm really doing some of this healing. Yeah. It's just wild. It's just astrology is so beautiful.
Yeah.
It
reminds me, hands on heart. In another lifetime, no, many years ago, I used to be a Waldorf kindergarten teacher and preschool teacher, and instead of the little kids raising their hand, right, we would have them put their hands on their hearts if they had a question. Hands on your hearts, if you had a question or to quiet everyone down, like before story time, they'd set, what was it called? Crisscross applesauce. Indian style, right? I think that's what we used to call it. And then hands on hearts to show that they were ready for the story. And it was just such a sweet, like, coming back home to the center, right? Even at those ages, preschool and kindergarten. So when you do that, it reminds me of like teaching the little kids to,
I love
center
that.
in. Yeah.
And that's so beautiful. Like bringing the energy in more yin rather than yanging it out.
Yes.
Me.
Yeah.
Me.
Yeah. And also saying when you bring that energy in, when you are in your heart space, then I see you. And then I call on you. Yeah, it's really sweet atmosphere there.
I bet you were the best, amazing kindergarten
Oh my
teacher
God,
there ever
I actually
was.
really loved it. We had so much fun. Yeah, it was really, really special to my heart.
Oh, and Latinx is saying, has anyone seen Beef on Netflix? That's a good show, but it's about road rage and anger out of control, very in line with this eclipse. Yeah,
that
because
was
it's at
such
19 degrees.
a good show.
Yeah, so good. Ali Wong and I don't remember the guy's name.
Oh, what is his name? It's on the tip of my tongue. Shoot, it's not coming forward, but that was such a good show. The concept, the storyline, the relationships there within. mind-blowing. So good.
So good. Yeah. And this eclipse is at 19 degrees of Aries, which is, the sun is exalted in Aries, but 19 is the degree of its exaltation. So that Aries energy, that self, like so focused, like the shadows are also in line where like those blinders to anyone else's needs are kind of going to be rising up in the collective in ways.
It's amplified, right? It's amplified. This fighter energy, the warrior energy that Aries holds. We'll see and feel a lot of people stepping up to that, like really fighting for what they believe in, fighting for themselves, fighting for their independence, elbowing their way to the front of the line, being bossy, being pushy. Like those energies are really going to surface with this Aries. So many planets in Aries right now. I can't remember all of them. Maybe I can pull it up.
It's Aries. Well, Venus entered Aries today.
That's right.
Venus is in Aries, Mercury's in Aries and retrograde, the North Node's in Aries, Chiron's in Aries, and the Sun is in Aries.
Oh my God.
I'm not leaving my house. There's a lot of Aries energy going on.
Yeah, I just pulled up the chart of the moment. So much Aries. Holy moly. Yeah, I'm not leaving my house.
And Venus in Aries, that's a sign of her detriment, where she may act in extreme and ways that are ineffective. And she's right now, she's sextile Pluto. So that's unearthing all sorts of stuff. Yeah. How do you tell people about Venus and Aries? What do you tell your clients?
Venus and Aries. So Venus is our social planet, right? It's how we do relationship. It's how we dance with others. Venus and Aries, it's a funky placement because Venus is about other people and Aries is about the self, right? And so now we have this planet that wants to play with and dance and connect with other people in this fiercely independent sign. And so they are the ones who really learn a lot through relationships. They have to learn how to compromise. They have to learn how to share their toys in the sandbox. Venus and Aries people, they have to learn how to dance with another, right? And they are the ones who are going to love a good chase. So if you play hard to get with your Venus and Aries, they're going to be more attracted to you. Don't make it easy for them because then they'll get bored. They love a good chase. They love to win. They love to conquer. And some of the lessons, I think, for Venus and Aries people is how to be humble, right? How to be humble, how to, the practice of letting the other lead every once in a while because they'll want to be the leaders. They'll want to be the boss. So the practice of that, the practice of compromising, the practice of sharing and checking in with the other, the practice of it's not always about you. Because to Venus and Aries, it is always about themselves. And that can actually be a healthy trait, right? Putting the self first, checking in with the self first. But sometimes it's to the detriment of their relationships. It's a fine balance with Venus and Aries, but so bold, so brave and courageous in love and making the first move and taking action, right? You will know if a Venus and Aries person has a crush on you. You will know. They won't be subtle about it.
They have the bravery to make it known. Yes.
What's your Venus in, Celeste?
My Venus is in Gemini.
Oh, in Gemini. Very cool. Yeah. Mine's in the opposite, Venus in Sagittarius.
Oh, okay.
I have like all my planets in Sagittarius.
I know. That's a beautiful. I love Sagittarius energy. It's actually my boo is a Sagittarius with a Sagittarius stellium.
With a stellium too. Wow. Very cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I love that fire, and I have my moon in Aries, so it's
so that is compatible emotionally. Yeah, your emotional body. Very nice.
Yeah. Oh, Shireen Mark says transmutation upon us. Thank you so much for this gift today. And they have the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction on their sun. And so that's awakening so much about yourself.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone who has it on their sun?
It's about I am energy. And so for her, I can't remember her name that you mentioned, but it really is about I am. So who am I? Who am I wanting to
Mm.
step into? Who am
It
I
might
wanting to be? It's
be a
complete.
man, something
Okay.
Mark.
Mark,
Mm.
okay. It's complete transformation of themselves, right? And who they are and how they shine that warm sunlight, how they shine their light out into the world. Man, that conjunction landing on your sun, it really is about, your identity and that proclamation, I am. And what does that mean to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a
And
big
they've
one on the sun.
recently had a dark night of the soul,
Mhm.
a total death dissolve. Yeah.
The ego, right? The
Mm-hmm.
sun being the ego that we live
Mm-hmm.
with.
Yeah.
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 So more of that ego work coming up
Mm-hmm. So
here.
yeah, so the Jupiter Uranus conjunction on their birthday, April 20th.
Mm,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow, wow, wow.
That's gonna be a big birthday. Happy early
Mm.
birthday.
Okay. Arb is asking about exaltation. So each of the planets, there's something called
Mm-hmm.
dignity, essential dignity, and different planets can operate well in certain signs. Like you have a planet has the sign it's at home in, and so most people know that. Like Mars is at home in Aries,
Mm-hmm.
Venus at home in Taurus and Libra. Those things are where the energy can be expressed with ease. And then there's exaltation, which is like a special seat at the table. It's like an invited guest.
They get
That's what
really
like,
excited there. They're like,
yes.
ah, yay.
Yeah, like
Uh-huh.
Venus is exalted in Pisces. So that beautiful, loving energy of Venus in the sign of Pisces, a sign of one love, it can just, it's just so
Elevate it.
overflowing
Yes.
with that love.
Yeah.
It's like the Ace of Cups, I feel like Venus and
Mm-hmm.
Pisces.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then there's signs opposite the home sign is called
Mm-hmm.
detriment, where you're far from home. There's a little bit of, like feelings of a little bit of exile or something. So there just is a need to learn how to use the energy
Mm-hmm.
differently because it's like uncomfortable and like through trying things like the Venus and Aries, like just going up to someone and saying, you're going out with
Yeah.
me. Like that's not going to work with people,
Uh-huh.
that you learn through experience how to adjust.
Yeah.
But Venus and Aries is also Wonder Woman. I
Yeah.
mean, there's like, so it's not a judgment about the goodness or
It's not
badness
good
of
or
a planet.
bad,
It's
right?
about how the energy is expressed. And
Yeah.
fall is opposite
Yeah.
exaltation. And that can be like people have they have to learn. Like
Mm-hmm.
the moon in Scorpio, like can hold so much of that emotional
Mm-hmm.
intensity that it can be overwhelming for the person and it can be like depression
Yeah.
or just like, you
Getting
know,
stuck in the shadow.
yes,
Uh-huh.
yes. So there has
Yeah.
to be a learning about how to
Mm-hmm.
manage that energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the moon's a great example. The moon is at home in Cancer. Cancer knows how to feel. The moon is the emotions. But then you put the moon in Capricorn, it's opposite sign, it's detriment. And now this very emotional planet is in this productive, usually non-emotional sign of Capricorn. So then how do you express your emotions through the lens of Capricorn? There's some learning there, right? The moon isn't as comfortable, but you have emotional wisdom, you have emotional maturity. So there are these strengths in there too, but it's really like how do I work with my moon in the sign of its detriment, because it's a little bit funky. There's some figuring out that needs to be done, a little bit of work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think I got all the questions here.
Okay.
Do you want to say anything else about, let's see, what else should we talk about this? Oh, how about the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction? What are you thinking about that?
I think it's a really, really, really big energy. I mean, we have Jupiter, which is the biggest planet, right? It's the biggest energy in the chart. Jupiter is one of the benefics, so he's generally happy-go-lucky, but he's big energy. And then we have Uranus, which is also big energy. Uranus rules the central nervous system. Uranus rules electricity, lightning storms. And when we have this big, huge, happy guy, Jupiter, meeting up with this very energetic electrical lightning storm energy, I mean, that is like a bang in the sky, right? And so wherever that shows up personally in the chart is where you have like access to very potent energy right now, right? It's an opening. It's like, what are we going to do with this? We want to do something. Jupiter doesn't like to sit idly by. Uranus doesn't like to sit idly at the side. So where these are showing up, there's some sort of movement, action, upheaval. It could feel chaotic. It could feel destabilizing, but it could also be like, oh my God, this is the breath of fresh air that I needed with this conjunction coming in, you know? Jupiter says, grow, grow, grow. And Uranus says, change, change, change. And you bring these together, and we are not sitting idle. We are not remaining stagnant. Something big is happening, right? So something big is happening collectively, yes. And then you can plug it into your own natal chart. And that's the area of life where something big is happening, to keep it simple, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I have it in my 11th house.
I have it
on my
in
Mercury.
my 10th. Oh, yeah, that's right, on your Mercury. I have it in my 10th. So, you know, work, career, profession, title.
Now, are you adding new things to your offerings with Jupiter and Uranus in your 10th house?
Yeah, I'm actually, so you took my synastry course, right? I'm actually working on synastry part 2. Which is going to be the much more advanced part. I'm going to do all the aspects, like what it means when one person's moon is squaring the other person's Venus, and so on and so forth. So I'm developing that right now. I don't know when it'll be done, but it's in the works. And yeah, just developing a little bit of this, a little bit of that, doing like Deborah stuff as well. Lots of stuff on the horizon. I could feel the energy in the 10th house for sure.
Are you? Well, Jupiter publishes, so it educates. Are you thinking about writing your synastry book?
That is in the works too, as well as another book. It's just, there's just so much, you know? But yes, I have a couple books in the works too.
Oh, good,
I just
good.
need like 4 of me. If I had 4 of me, I could get everything done in a timely manner.
Isn't that always the case? Yeah. But I really feel like divine timing, when it's meant to be, it'll be meant to be, and it'll be birthed into this world, and so many people will learn from it and help heal their relationships and be so better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Is there any other questions? Let's see.
I think we did it.
I think we did.
I think we did it. Do you feel complete?
I feel really complete.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Good. So we're all going to remember to play nice on Monday, to be kind, to go slow, to walk with mindfulness, because the energy is really strong, really heightened. So remembering to do your grounding practices, stay in your heart, come from your heart. Yeah, go slow. Be gentle.
Yeah, be very gentle with yourself. Someone's asking, should I be worried? No, not worried. Just be prepared for what is surfacing and recognize it, and think about this card and all of the things we said. And this will be on my wall and Malika's wall, and I'll post it on YouTube as well, so that people can rewatch it.
Yeah. Very good.
If they like. So this has been so wonderful.
I know.
I'm so glad we did this. This was a perfect date to do it.
It was. And I just adore you, Celeste, and I'm so happy that we got to hang out again. And we'll do it again.
Yeah, we'll do it again. This was just fantastic. Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, you guys. Take good care. Bye.